welcome Heath and Mollie Harmison to Boise, Idaho, of all places. Thank you for being here.
It's beautiful.
You're coming from the beautiful hamlet of Twin Falls.
Yeah.
Harmy Productions, that's the name of the company that you two share collectively, correct?
Yeah.
Husband and wife team. I asked them special to be here this day because I started off by doing improv classes with you all in Twin Falls. Mm-hmm. And when I was asked first to do it, I thought to myself, what the heck is improv? I have no idea. I didn't know what improv was. So I wanted to start off with having you two kind of explain a little bit to those who are not knowing what is improv.
Yeah.
Yeah, improv, basically, I mean, if you're old school, if you've ever watched Whose Line Is It Anyway, it's a lot of fun, quick games that are made up on the spot. We get suggestions from the audience, and we build a whole show based off of their suggestions. So we'll play different little games. That's short form improv. Then there's long form improv where we'll get one suggestion, like plant. And then we will build a whole hour show based off of the plant. There are different styles of improv. There's a lot of different elements to it that we use so that we can communicate well in scenes. There's rules. A lot of people just think they can just go up there and do it. Mm-hmm. As you know, taking the classes, There are rules and things that we follow in order to communicate well and build a good show.
Yeah.
So our audience are real estate agents. And I bet when you said that you say a word and then you build a show off of that for 60 minutes, I would imagine that 95% of our listeners would say, I would never do that. That is terrifying. That's horrible. Why would you subject human beings to that? So how do you counter that minefield?
That's a very fair question and state of being, because I actually thought the same thing when I got into improv. In fact, I just did it just to kind of do something with Heath. I would say 2 classes in, I was like, I can use this in my everyday life. What? Like, you're teaching me how to take like an idea and then yes and that idea, which is a term we use, and it's essentially just like saying yes and adding to it. And then I'm going to build better life and communication skills in just listening to someone and reacting. So right away, the improv for me was more about my regular life.
I had that realization too, that this is way bigger than just playing a game. Mm-hmm. I have people asking me, what does it feel like to do improv? And it literally feels like your brain is on fire and you feel like there is a fire happening, and you have to somehow gracefully and peacefully be able to be like, this is okay, this is normal, and we're going to make something amazing out of this. And it always turns out. It's really interesting. So I asked you to come today, even though this isn't real estate specific. I'm really excited about how improv improves one's communication skills. And I wanted to talk a little bit about that. And maybe start with Heath. What thoughts do you have about improv and communication and business? How are all of those correlated, or are they even correlated?
Yeah, of course they are. In business and sales, especially with realtors or realtor.
Just thank you for not saying realtor.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm making
very
sure
good.
I'm trying. So
Realtor.
For you realtors out there, you guys are already risk takers. You're already willing to put yourself out there, right? I see that as a terrifying business to get into, to be honest, because I don't know the first thing about housing anyway, but getting that license and going and doing that. Improv is the same thing. You're jumping in the deep end. You're doing something that you believe that you have some sort of ability to do. And so when you're doing improv, you learn how to listen, you learn how to react, you learn how to think on your feet quickly, which I think you need to be able to do in any business, no matter what you're doing. Building good communication skills and learning how to the first one we always like teaching is listening. Because if you're not listening, you're not able to react. You're not able to make other people look better. You're not able to really utilize your actual other communication skills.
I think the great misnomer is that you think that you don't have to practice these things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's the great fallacy out there, that you can somehow just get into real estate and be good at it. Be good at negotiating. Well, I'm good at negotiating because I have 4 children and I negotiate with them all the time. Well, this is a totally different animal. Doing real estate. And I think you're absolutely right. You mentioned a rule in improv called the yes and. What are you talking about?
In improv, we say yes and because it ties along with listening. When you someone gives you a suggestion like, hey, let's go to the zoo. We teach that you first say yes to that and then you add something to it. So it would be saying like, let's go to the zoo. Yeah, and can I bring my friend Ted? He loves the lions, right? So that's a form of like yes and versus like, let's go to the zoo. No, I don't like the zoo. And then it's just like end scene, right? Like, where do you go from that? Or even like, let's go to the zoo. Okay, sure. You know, it's just when you add something to saying yes, that it takes the scene further. So in life or in business, it takes the business further when you can add something besides just agreeing. Or maybe it's not even about agreeing, but it is about hearing, listening, acknowledging that you've heard, and then adding to whatever it is that you've heard, whether you agree or not.
It helps give that validation, right? People love to feel validated, you know, in their ideas, and
Especially me.
Yeah.
we know, Paul. We know.
You're great, Paul.
So if you're trying to sell someone a house and you're talking with them and you're showing them a house or whatever you're doing, if they have a thought and you have that idea of yes-anding in your mind, and you learn to validate your person, then they're more apt to trust you more, right?
Yeah,
Trust
absolutely.
is huge, right? Especially when someone's going to buy a house. They want to trust the person they're working with.
Yeah. Yes-anding is a form of validating that you're actually listening to what
Exactly.
they're saying. So also in real estate, when you're negotiating between a buyer and seller, selling agents, I should say, you would be surprised how many deals get killed over $5,000. Somebody decides to dig in their heels and say, if that person, doesn't go down $5,000, I'm out of here. And if an agent had the foresight to say, instead of, well, that's stupid, you shouldn't think that way, say, yes-anding would be something like this. I understand what you're saying, and your feelings are valid. Maybe we look to see how this is going to affect your monthly payment. Let's see how $5,000 really is going to affect your monthly payment. Maybe it's $30 a month. That's a way of yes-anding. Of course, we're not saying the word yes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
And you bring up
validating feelings.
Right. You bring up that's such a good point to bring up because it's not actually about saying yes. We first teach that just like, the kindergarten version of like, let's practice first saying yes. But it really is actually about hearing what they're saying, like listening to it, validating it, and then helping them with your expertise to help them really see this may not be as terrible as what you're actually in your mind thinking it's going to be. Let's look into it.
What I love about improv is the high stress environment that you get thrown into. When you are put into that situation over and over and over again, all of a sudden things don't seem so stressful to you.
100%.
Real estate is extremely stressful, especially in the heat of it. And to put ourselves in that situation over and over again, and to be able to calmly reply back and to bring people together is a trait that is not, it's not intuitive. It's just not intuitive.
Well, it
It's not
becomes
something-
muscle memory, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Like, I think that's the biggest takeaway from me with improv is, like I said, I enjoy performing. I think it's fun, but really the biggest thing improv has done for me is helped me in my everyday life. I can get thrown into a situation and my mind, like it's muscle memory that I go into that place when I feel that stress coming, that I go into the same place that when I'm doing a show where I can deal with it because I've put myself in a situation that was a controlled space of stress. And it's like my mind just kind of knows what to do. And I no longer in situations like that feel like, oh, I just can't do it. It's a
Yeah.
reaction, and I'll find myself later being like, oh, that was cool that I reacted that way, because it just becomes muscle memory.
Well, I
too.
think that's part of what's impressive about improv is watching these people be calm in the chaos, right? Like,
Right.
and people were mind blown because like, I could never do that, but really they could. Think about the first time you did an improv class. You know, you were nervous. I remember, but now
I'm sorry, what? Yeah, exactly.
I remember.
You were like, I need clarification on
I'm
this.
just having flashbacks right now. That's my first experience.
Remember the first time to now. You know, if we
Yeah.
just threw you in doing an hour show based off of one suggestion, you know that
Yeah.
first class, you would have been like, "What?" You would have
Yeah.
you would have probably been in a fetal position. I
Yeah.
think, you know.
Yeah.
So I know I would.
Yeah.
You know, you learn. We warm people up. You warm yourself up. I think realtors could honestly benefit from learning how to do little things to warm themselves up before they even go and talk to a client or
Well, especially brand new agents.
yeah.
I have agents that come into my office all the time and they're struck with fear. How do I even start this process? Like just the fear of the unknown will have them get rid of their license or just let it expire.
Mm-hmm.
I think, real quick, one thing kind of to add to all of that, there's another phrase we say in improv that is, if you focus on making other people look good, you look really good. So it's something for me personally that it really helps me when I'm feeling stressed out about a situation and how to even go into it, is I turn it on the people that I'm going to be around and focus on, like, how do I make them look good? How do I present them well? How do I listen to them well and react to them, versus putting it all on me that, like, I need to know every single thing. It's like, let me just react to you and take what are your thoughts, your desires are, and build you up that way. And then in turn, that makes me look really good.
Right. What are the two different ways that agents can get involved in improv if you sparked their curiosity?
Yeah, that's good. You want to go first?
I mean, you could reach out to us, harmyproductions.com.
How do you spell that?
Harmy, Harmi Productions. But yeah, you can get a hold of us on there.
And that's for classes or for corporate. So we teach an 8-week course that is once a week in Twin Falls, and where we just start with the basics and go from there. And then we also do corporate events, whether it's performing for corporations or it's actually teaching them these skills very specifically for your business. So the improv classes we teach are to be able to perform, but since I'm so tied to the life element, I'm always bringing in things for life because it's just my favorite part. And then the corporate course is either a 2 or a 3-day option. We have done it in 1 day too. We can do that as well, but you're really kind of getting it from the ground up of, like, how to be a good leader, or for like even more boss employee level, how to notice those good leaders. We go do a lot with team building and communication. And then we do a lot of, like, personal kind of like development type of thing for your own self on how, more like what we're talking about with, like, how can I do this personally? Whether it's like I'm working with a team or I'm just doing it individually. Those are the 3 main topics that we go
Yeah,
into.
because we hit on a lot. I mean, we've done a lot. We've done like sales teams, things like that, and it's really good for bosses to. I like it when the bosses actually get involved and they actually do the team building with their employees. But it is also good for the boss to be able to look at their team, and they're going to see things come out in people they never thought existed in these people, because and they may and those employees might not even know that it was in them to begin with.
So one of the things that I learned while in classes is that there are different types of improvisers. And I can't help also being in the business world recognizing, okay, that doesn't just relate to improv, that relates to the business world. And so you've taught me 3 different improv styles, one being what we call a square, the other a circle, and a squiggle. And throughout the process, we start to identify what type of improviser we are, or I guess in the business sense, how do we work with other people? So explain to me really quick, like, what is the square?
So I would say the square is more of the analytical improviser or analytical business person. They dwell with the facts. They're really good at like creating and telling the story and pulling random facts from just their life experience. They retain information really well and therefore can use it to benefit them in different scenarios and different circumstances. They thrive in the analytical side of it all.
Okay.
Is, I guess, the very basic.
All right. They set a scene really well, too.
Yes.
So if you're doing an airport scene, they establish themselves as, I'm behind the checkout booth. I've got my pens here. I've got my notepad and I've got my screen. And you can see clearly the airport is starting to happen, the front desk. Okay, now let's talk about the circle. Who's the circle?
So the circle is more, they thrive in the relationship aspect, the emotional aspect.
Okay.
Like, how does this person think, feel? How can I react more to them? Where are they going with this, and how can I benefit them in that process? Much more emotional.
So in the airport scene, the circle then comes in, and it's a coworker that says, "Did you hear about Jessica yesterday?"
Absolutely.
Right. That's the circle. So they're bringing in the meat of where this scene is going to go.
Yeah. They're very much, how do we make this spicy? Like, how do we make this so that somebody wants to watch this or wants to be involved?
Okay. Then there's the squiggle.
Yes. So
I have been accused. Heath is a squiggle.
Definitely Heath is a squiggle. Mm-hmm.
What does the squiggle do?
The squiggles are the party people. They're the ones that come in and just add the spice or drop the bomb, whatever. Like, they come in and it's just like whatever they usually choose to do, it ups the stakes in a big way. It definitely like pulls the attention. It's the big moves, the people that are not afraid to make those big power moves is the best way to describe it.
So give me an example in this airport example. What would the squiggle do?
Well, I think the squiggle would be the person to come in and like have all of these issues that have gone wrong. My bag is this. See, you're asking though a person that's more of an emotional player.
Oh,
probably like he.
Oh, you would be Lloyd from Dumber and Dumber running in, saying, "It's okay, I'm a limo driver," and then runs and then ends up...
Or I decide to be a seeing eye dog.
That's a total squiggle.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, the abstract. They will go to those abstract.
So in business though, those people exist all the time. And it's not that one is valued more than the other, because I have learned that I am not a square. And we did a show together where I promised myself I wasn't going to start the scene, because typically squares start the scene. Going against better judgment, I decided to jump in and start the scene. And it was a disaster, just because I don't set scenes very well. But in business, we've got to have squares just as we have squiggles, just as we have circles, and we have to learn how to interact with those. So I think in these corporate events, learning what style each one of your coworkers is a really, really powerful tool to learn how to work with them. Squares can't hardly stand squiggles, right? They want everything boxed perfectly. Yeah. They want everything to work right. But then you have a dreamer. You have this creative person that walks in and says, "I think we need to do this." It's not that it's not value. We just need to know how to yes and them and utilize the best that they have to offer.
Make it all mesh together.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. I think you hit it right on when you said, like, it's not about only being one. Like, we have something that feels more comfortable or that we're more prone to do. And in that regard, one thing we teach in improv is we help you identify that in yourself so that you can know, so that then anytime you're feeling like more self-conscious, you have something that you're like, I know that I am really organized. I'm really good at starting something. I'm really good at this. So in my times of maybe like insecurity, I'm going to lean on that, knowing that about myself, because that's also validated through other students and us helping you to see that. And then let's say like in your real confident moments, then that's when we ask like, hey, dive into some of these other areas, because if you can pull any one of them at the moment's notice, if you can be more about the relationship at any given time, or if you can do something spicy and sassy that sets you apart from any other, realtor they're looking or working with, those are the things that's like, we want to create that in one person. Yeah. So to use it to your advantage in those different ways.
Our audience is throughout the state. You're only in Twin Falls. Are there other groups out there throughout the state that you're aware of that people can participate in as far as classes are concerned if they wanted to jump into this quickly?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, if you want to learn, if you're in Boise area, if you want to learn improv, there's Recycled Minds or the Creative Space.
Creative Space, yep.
Our friend Austin does teach classes as well. I'm not sure. Just find Austin Von Johnson. On Facebook.
That's a Austin Von Johnson, one word, okay. On Facebook. Also, Comedy Sports. That's a great one to look into, is Comedy Sports Boise, because they teach you. It's kind of like they teach you along with the performance. So it's kind of if you want to perform.
Right. And then what are the major improv troupes in Chalice, Idaho?
What you would do.
My dad and his dog. It's a great one. Make
a trip down to Boise, take a class, and go start your own. Yeah.
Very good. I'm just trying to see if there's anything else. Is there something else that you want me to touch on that I haven't touched on?
I think just to reiterate that it does seem like an overwhelming thing to take on. I know I'm like that with things in my life that are like, whoa, for me, it's interesting because I'm not a cook. Like I don't cook. I don't like to cook. So the idea of like going and taking a cooking class isn't on my top priority. Now, if I was like, oh, this cooking class though can help me in the things that I really like to do, I would be more
and it could improve your relationship
with
your
guy.
husband.
Yeah, he likes to cook, so
which is
okay.
I think the number one reason.
Number one for sure. But yeah, like so it's like it's a great thing to literally like help you in every aspect of your life doing this one thing. And that's on a personal level, like you say, if you want to jump in it quickly and find a class. On like the more corporate level, these courses that we teach are really beneficial, and you get all the information, so you take it home with you. Everything's written, it's very structured. So it's just a great way to improve your life when you're, like how you said, you're stepping into a space where you're like, what is the first thing I can do? No one ever wants to be in that place where they don't know what to do right off the bat.
I want to say for the level 1 class in any improv school, trust that the teacher understands that you're terrified and that they're going to walk you through every little part of it. So you're never going to be thrown into a situation where you feel like you're, in 50 feet deep water.
Right.
You inch in, and the way you do that is by playing games.
Yes.
And games are a really non-threatening way to do that, and it's very fun. And you're just going to have a blast. But you're just going to learn so much about yourself and improve your daily communication. So I'm really excited that you two are here and make the trip over to Boise. Thank you for doing that.
Absolutely.
No problem.
Get you both.
Yeah.
Again, that's HarmyProductions.communication. Commerce. Oh, got it. All right.
Communication.
Whatever.
Right. Whatever the com is.
Yes. It's been a while. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you, Paul.
Thanks for coming.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Thanks
for coming in on your podcast.
Thanks for coming in on your podcast. And